on the minister, and they really do. They minister to the poor, and so beautifully and with such love. We are proud of our religious heritage, and as president, I will always protect religious liberty. We've been doing it. Last year on this day, I took executive action to prevent the Johnson Amendment, a disaster, from interfering with our First Amendment rights. I was so proud of that. I've been saying from the beginning, you know that.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. You want more bread? Yeah.
Do I want more bread?
I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens.
What, are you making more? What?
Why don't I just fire Mueller?
Fire the guy.
Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens, but I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him. Again, they found nothing. And in finding nothing, that's a big statement.
The Washington Post is reporting the Reverend Patrick J. Conroy, the House chaplain who announced his resignation under pressure last month, informed Speaker Paul D. Ryan Thursday that he wanted to rescind his offer and remain in his position at least through the end of this year. Facing criticism over the resignation, Ryan had defended himself at a recent event. Father Conroy was a good man, and I'm grateful for his community service to the House. This was not about politics or prayers, it was about pastoral services, and a number of our members felt like the pastoral services were not being adequately served or offered. According to the New York Times, Conroy was blindsided when Ryan asked him to resign, a request that he complied with but was never given a reason for. In another development relating to Cambridge Analytica data use, ABC News reported Wednesday, Cambridge Analytica, analytics firm at center of Facebook data scandal, ceases all operations, commences insolvency and bankruptcy proceedings in UK and US. The company defended itself in a news release. Over the past several months, Cambridge Analytica has been the subject of numerous unfounded accusations, and despite the company's efforts to correct the record, has been vilified for activities that are not only legal, but also widely accepted as a standard component of online advertising in both the political and commercial arenas. It goes on to say, the siege of media coverage has driven away virtually all of the company's customers and suppliers. As a result, it has been determined that it is no longer viable to continue operating the business, which left Cambridge Analytica with no realistic alternative to placing the company into administration.
Could you explain why the president, when he answered questions to reporters a few weeks ago about the $130,000 payment for Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels, why the president was not truthful with the American people and with the people in this room?
As Mayor Giuliani stated, and I'll refer you back to his comments, this was information that the president didn't know at the time, but eventually learned. Jonathan?
Take a broader view on this. I know you can't talk about the details. But can I ask you, when the president so often says things that turn out not to be true, when the president of the White House show what appears to be a blatant disregard for the truth. How are the American people to trust or believe what is said here or what is said by the president?
We give the very best information that we have at the time. I do that every single day, and will continue to do that every day I'm in this position.
Jack in the Box up across the street.
This is a good one. Couldn't we get some more people? Hi, everybody. Come on up. This is history. This is history. Come on up.
Right here, yes, sir.
Maybe he wants to bring some more people up on the stage.
That's fantastic. Hey. We're going to give you all. But we'll get for everyone. Why don't you pass them?
Tell Mr. Vice President.
Go ahead, pass them around. Those are the best. These are the great ones. Go ahead. You'll grab that. Wonderful. So you'll spread them around. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great day.
Can you give us an update on the 3 Americans held in North Korea? Rudy Giuliani said that they were going to be released today. Is that true?
We can't confirm the validity of any of the reports currently out about their release, but we certainly would see this as a sign of goodwill if North Korea were to release the 3 Americans ahead of discussions between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
In addition to being an attorney, sorry, Sarah. In addition to being an attorney for the president, does Mr. Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani, have a wider remit to talk about things like foreign policy?
Not that I'm aware of.
The president did talk about monthly retainers in his tweet, and then Rudy Giuliani said that the president only knew about this 10 days to 2 weeks ago. How can you only be aware of something 10 days to 2 weeks ago, but at the same time being in the process of paying monthly retainers that apparently covered this reimbursement to Michael Cohen?
Again, I can't get into the details of the ongoing litigation. I'd refer you back to the president's outside
I'll just
counsel.
follow up on it. You said on March 7th there was no knowledge of any payments from the president, and he's denied all of these allegations. Were you lying to us at the time, or were you in the dark?
The president has denied and continues to deny the underlying claim. And again, I've given the best information I had at the time. And I would refer you back to the comments that you yourself just mentioned a few minutes ago about the timeline from Mayor Giuliani.
That statement, but Sarah, that statement was in reference to the reimbursement, the payment.
Again, I gave you the best information that I had, and
That means you were in the dark. You
the
didn't know.
allegations,
You didn't know at the time.
the allegations, the president has denied and
Why
continues to
can't you
deny
just
the
answer
underlying
yes or no
claim.
whether you were in the dark? I think it's a fairly simple question whether you just
I think
didn't
it's a
have the
fairly simple
information
answer that
at
I've
the
given
time.
you actually several times now. I gave you the best information that I had, and I'm going to continue to do my best to do that every single day.
One nation under God. So important. And we say it here, you know? A lot of people, they don't say it. But you know what? They're starting to say it more, just like we're starting to say Merry Christmas when that day comes around. You notice the big difference between now and 2 or 3 years ago? It was, Paula, it was going in the other direction rapidly, right? Now it's straight up. Our country was founded on prayer. our communities are sustained by prayer, and our nation will be renewed by hard work, a lot of intelligence, and prayer.
Funneled through law firm, and the president repaid it. Oh, I didn't know he did.
Have you sat down with the president to talk about Stormy Daniels? What has he told you that he wants us to know about this topic?
As I just said, and as we've addressed on a number of times, the president has denied these allegations, and I don't have anything else further to add on that front.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens Beauty Consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
I wanted to ask you about these reports citing U.S. intelligence that the Chinese have installed new missile platforms on disputed islands in the South China Sea, and they also appear to now be basing fighter jets there. Meanwhile, pilots are being warned that Chinese military personnel are pointing lasers at U.S. military aircraft in Djibouti and Africa, injuring American pilots. Does any of this cross a red line for the president, and how does the administration intend to respond?
Yeah, we're well aware of China's militarization of the South China Sea. We've raised concerns directly with the Chinese about this, and there will be near-term and long-term consequences, and we'll certainly keep you up to date.
No collusion, no obstruction. Why don't I just fire him?
Fire the guy.
Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens, but I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him. Again, they found nothing. And in finding nothing, that's a big statement.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens Beauty Consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
Amid a dramatic turn of events in the Korean Peninsula, 18 GOP lawmakers are nominating President Trump for the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize. In a letter to the Norwegian Nobel Committee, the lawmakers note they are nominating Trump in recognition of his work to end the Korean War, denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, and bring peace to the region. The hopes for a denuclearized North Korea have gone up since the recent meeting between the leaders of North and South Korea. Trump is also expected to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the coming weeks. The South Korean leader is among those floating a Nobel Peace Prize for Trump. And here's what Trump told reporters about that suggestion.
The Nobel Peace Prize? Yes, sir. Well, I just think that President Moon was very nice when he suggested it. I want to get peace. The main thing, we want to get peace. That was a big problem, and I think it's going to work out well.
I don't know.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens beauty consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
Why did you write that letter? Was it a joke? The words you chose, the way you wrote it?
Dr. Harold Bornstein, who garnered national spotlight after his declaration about President Trump's health, is yet again in the headlines. CNN's chief national security correspondent tweeted Tuesday, President Trump dictated 2015 letter his doctor wrote, declaring him the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency, says letter's author, Dr. Harold Bornstein. He dictated that whole letter. I didn't write that letter, Bornstein told CNN. And separately, NBC News reported Tuesday, in February 2017, a top White House aide who was Trump's longtime personal bodyguard, along with the top lawyer at the Trump Organization and a third man, showed up at the office of Trump's New York doctor without notice and took all the president's medical records. Bornstein described the incident as a raid. However, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders characterized it as a standard procedure.
There are some today who are essentially saying that what has happened with the president's former personal doctor was a burglary. The way Keith Schiller busted in and essentially...
I don't know if some, I think there's one, but not some.
Well, what's your response to that characterization?
Once again, that it would be a standard procedure for the president and newly elected president's medical records to be in possession by the White House Medical Unit, and that was what was taking place, as those records were being transferred over to the White House Medical Unit as requested.
This is tough for me, too, because I'm obviously a fan of the Dallas Cowboys,
Yes.
and I'm a fan of Jason Witten.
Yes.
Is he not one of the all-time greatest guys that you've ever run across?
Yes.
I have not a single bad word to say about Jason Witten. And I'll throw on top of everything you just said, he's the best blocking tight end, not only of his era, but you could make a case he's the greatest blocking tight end ever because he was like another tackle for them in the run game.
Yeah, he's more Dicka Mackey than he is Kellen, Ozzie, myself.
Correct. Well said. So he's going to wind up with the second most tight end receptions of all time and the second most yards of all time. But our man, Tony Gonzalez, he ran away with those.
That, yes.
And hid.
Yes.
He's so far behind there that he could have played 3 more years and he never would have caught him.
No.
He's 5th in touchdowns among tight ends.
Right.
Pretty good. But then we get to that bottom line that you brought up. Jason played in 8 playoff games and he won 2 and 6. Now, is he the quarterback? Is he the middle linebacker? No, he can't control all the above.
Right.
Was his team not good enough to win those games? You can argue. Shannon Sharp played in 18 playoff games and went 13-5 and won 3 Super Bowls. Played in 3 and won 3. Now, was that all? Did you get all the credit for that? Obviously, you don't. But you were there and a big part of all of the above. You also played in 4 championship games. And Jason played in no championship games. Okay? So, I'm tough on the Hall of Fame. I think it's getting softer and softer on letting people into the Hall of Fame. And I know this puts you in an awkward position because you're in, and so it's just tough to comment on this. But Jason Witten would not be in my Hall of Fame. But my standards are high. Did he change the game? Was he a transcendent player? No, he was a really good. There's that Hall of Very Good that I talk about. He's definitely in the Hall of Very Good.
Yes.
He played 15 years and he missed one game with a broken jaw and got 3 plates inserted in his jaw and came back and played the following week. That's it. 15 years.
It's unbelievable.
That's durability, man.
Skip, I played 14 years, but I missed the equivalent of a season with injuries.
Okay.
Missed 12 games one year, missed 3 games another year, sat out a couple of games because we had nothing to play for. So I missed about 16, 17 games throughout my career. So although it says 14 years I played, basically I played 13 years.
So, Jason Witten, if you threw it in his catch radius, he's going to catch it.
Right.
Had really solid, secure, safe hands. Very dependable. But run after catch? No. So, could he take over the game? Could he change the game with breakaway runs? Nope, not going to do that. But he did make 11 Pro Bowls, and he made 2 first-team All-Pros, which is pretty good, but it's not the best of the era.
Welcome into Braves Live to Go, your final Thursday afternoon from Citi Field. The Braves blanked the Mets 11-0. That is 2 consecutive shutout wins for the Braves. And welcome into our Fox Sports studios. I'm Kelsey Wingert alongside Brian Jordan. You know, it's kind of the same thing that we said the other day. Another shutout win. You get a great starting pitching start from Julio Teheran, and then the offense looked just as good.
Well, you know, Julio was terrific, and give him a lot of credit, bounced back from an injury. But this offense has been fun to watch. And Nick Markakis, a triple away from the cycle, got it started with an RBI double driving in Freddie for the first run, and all of a sudden the power bats just came out. 4 home runs today by the Braves, 17 home runs in the whole trip. So the Braves keep chucking along.
You teed me up perfectly for that. A great day for Nick Markakis, 3 for 4, and here's what he had to say after the game.
We got a tough lineup up and down, and you know, other teams are starting to notice that, and you know, we've always noticed it from day one, spring training. We got a great group of guys. We've had some great additions, and you know, it's fun to be a part of.
The way this road trip started to the way it ends, I mean, how much confidence do you guys have after that first couple of games? I mean, you're a confident bunch, but just the way things kind of turned on a dime there at Cincinnati.
Yeah, you know, you're going to have those stretches. You know, we started out rough. We knew it was a long road trip, and you know, we finished up pretty good, I would say. You know, it just says a lot about our team and the drive our guys have, and you know, it's awesome.
So the first place Braves return home Friday night to SunTrust Park. Here's your pitching matchup. It'll be Chris Stratton versus Mike Fultonevich. Stratton is 2-2 with a 3.90 ERA. Fulte is 2-1 with a 2.53 ERA. So the Braves move up to 19-11 with an 11-0 win over the Mets. We'll see you at SunTrust Park tomorrow for 7:35 first pitch. If not, Braves Live starting at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports South and Fox Sports Go.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens beauty consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
Jason Witten is retiring from the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys. He will now be the #1 analyst on Monday Night Football. He is a tight end. He made the right decision. Tight ends do not get offered the primo #1 analyst gig at networks. Troy Aikman, a quarterback. John Gruden, star head coach. John Madden, star head coach. Tony Romo, Phil Simms, Dan Fouts. Now, you can say Chris Collinsworth, but Chris Collinsworth was grinding in this business. He was originally a Fox guy 25 years ago. He was not offered a #1 job out of his career. For a tight end to walk out in that position to a number one analyst job is you just take the job because these are gold standard. A lot of money, a lot of exposure. It will change your brand. More people are going to talk about Jason Witten now than ever talked about Jason Witten. And he doesn't have anything else on the field to accomplish other than a Super Bowl, and he can't control that. Here's what's really amazing, though. The Dallas Cowboys are so much bigger than every brand in the NFL. They even bigger than the Yankees in baseball, because at least the Yankees, there's the Red Sox brand, which is noteworthy. Here's how much bigger the Cowboys are than everybody else. They've now got the lead analyst on all the networks that do football, except NBC. That's the last one. Now think about that. The other thing this morning is I looked up team values in the NFL. The Cowboys are the most valuable sports franchise in the world at $4.2 billion. By the way, I don't believe they're worth that. I believe they're worth significantly more. I think if you went to Warren Buffett and said, you can have the Dallas Cowboys for $5 billion, I think there's all sorts of Silicon Valley money that would scoop them up for $4.2 billion. They are worth what the market would say, and I believe they're worth way more than $4.2 billion. But here's what's remarkable. The second most valuable NFL team is the New England Patriots. Now, let me ask you, if Tom Brady retired this morning and Belichick followed, would any network be fighting to put the Patriots on television if they were 4-12? Because a couple of years ago, the Cowboys were a dumpster fire. And the following year, the networks were still fighting to get them on television. Their quarterback now is a fourth-round pick, Dak Prescott. He's not even the most known quarterback in his division. Okay, Eli Manning is. Alex Smith is. Carson Wentz is the most talented. Dak, the Cowboys, fourth most gifted quarterback and perhaps known. I mean, the Cowboys are, first of all, Jason Witten's a great dude. When you're a tight end and you're offered the number one job 30 seconds outside of your career, you do it. The Cowboys brand is massive. Number two, according to all these, like Forbes magazine, the Patriots, they could lose one player and they would lose value in their brand. The Cowboys are the number one brand in the world, and they've largely for 15 years been average. It's like the Tiger Woods brand. Tiger Woods doesn't even have to be the best golfer. If he makes the cut, television ratings go up 75%. The new standard for Tiger is, did he make the cut? Yeah. Okay, whew, we're all good. Golf's great again.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens beauty consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
Houston Rockets lost to Utah. Let's not overthink the room. Utah took a bunch of three-pointers and made a lot of them. Houston took a lot of three-pointers and missed most of them. That's your game, and I still believe Houston will win this series. But last night is why I don't believe Houston is ready to win an NBA championship. Because dynasties, and we currently have one in Golden State, have always been built on the ability to do many things well. Golden State, head coach, A+. A system that can lose star players. Steph Curry and still win games. The system's an A+. Their defense is an A+. Their championship experience is an A+. They do many things well. Houston doesn't shoot. It gets ugly. Coaching, toughness, defense, system, shooting, championship medal. All Golden State better than Houston. This is the difference between Carrot Top and Jon Stewart or David Letterman. Carrot Top is a wildly successful prop comic. You take away the ski mask, you take away the chapstick, You don't have a joke. Jon Stewart and Letterman could do interviews, could be poignant post 9/11, could do stand-up, could do political. They were wide-ranging comedic talents. There is a difference. Dynasties. The Spurs beat you not just because of Duncan. They had effective guard play. Their international scouting was the best in the NBA. Their head coaching was excellent. They had Bruce Bowen and Duncan defensively, and they dominated the glass. Joe Montana is not the reason the Niners had a dynasty. It was Joe Montana plus the best coach in football at the time, Bill Walsh. They had the greatest perimeter player in the NFL at the time, Jerry Rice. They could run the football. They were physical. They played real defense and had a pass rush. That's why they were a dynasty. It wasn't just Troy Aikman in Dallas. He could go deep to Michael Irvin, or he could hand it to Emmett. They had great safeties, corners, and the best coach at the time, Jimmy Johnson, who was also the best talent evaluator in the NFL perhaps ever. Dynasties are built, legends are built not on the ability to be great at one thing. It's the ability to be great at several. College basketball is really big in March. There's a reason the NFL is king. It's big for 12 months. The draft gets huge ratings. The regular season gets huge ratings. The Pro Bowl, the Super Bowl, the playoffs, the wild card games. College basketball's big for 3 weeks in March. Golden State went 5 for 27 on threes in one of their games against San Antonio and won by 8. Houston last night struggled from three-point land and was basically controlled all night at home by Joe Ingles, who was undrafted. That is the difference. That is why Golden State's a dynasty. You know, Michael Jordan gets all the credit for those Chicago Bulls championships. But their length was incredible. They were the best defensive team in the league. They were the best clutch team. Jordan was the greatest offensive player. Pippen was the league's best Robin to Batman. And Phil Jackson was the best coach. And God, they were tough to beat at home. Houston always feels like to me they're a math equation. I love their GM Daryl Morey. I think they're really, really smart. They're driving this analytics thing. But man, if they don't hit threes at home, Joe Ingles takes them to the woodshed. I like Houston. I still think they'll beat Utah. But what you're watching at Golden State is all-time stuff. What you're watching with the Rockets is a hell of a math equation and a really good basketball team.
How long did it take him to get accustomed? Do you think get accustomed to you guys? How long did you guys get accustomed to him? It's not an easy thing when a guy comes in March and then all of a sudden he's playing in the second round of the playoffs.
Well, I think for him he had a good start, which helped. I think he scored on his first shot, so he had a couple games where he got some confidence under his belt, and that's always good as a young guy to get that going. And it didn't take him long at all. It was pretty impressive.
And you guys to adapt to him too. It's easy.
Well, it's easy when you have a guy who's so defensively responsible. You don't have to worry about him on the ice, and he's a great skater. So he could always put himself in good spots on the forecheck and stuff like that. Well, I mean, that we didn't give up much defensively. That's kind of what we've been trying to do all series. But last game, I think it was the best we've done in that regards. And they had their push in the second period, but I don't think we gave up too much throughout that. It was a good game overall, though.
How do you look ahead to Game 4? What do you need to do well to come out of there with another win?
Same thing. I think we obviously have to keep an eye on those guys that have been so good for them. That first line's been incredible, but we just want to keep playing the same way. We want to limit our turnovers, not force anything, because we know if we don't force something, we can't make any mistakes.
Well, we know you expect a big push from them. How do you combat that?
Well, it's similar to, you know, in games there's certain situations where they'll have a pushback. I think in the second period they have that, but you just have to realize that they're going to have that push. You just have to stay tight defensively. I think we did that.
What's worked especially well on your forecheck? Really in the whole series.
Well, if you look at our forecheck, we've been a good forechecking team all year.
They've been a good breakout team all year.
Yeah, well, no, it's just when you take time and space away from anyone, it makes it more difficult. And no matter how skilled you are, the less time and space you have, it's going to be tough. And we just want to try to meet the puck when it gets to that corner, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Key, right?
Yeah, getting there. Exactly.
First or at least
exactly. Yeah.
Do you sense frustration level setting that when you are able to take that time and space away throughout the game?
It's always frustrating when you're playing tight on guys, especially on forechecks. I don't know if I sense it. It's one of those playoff games where it's a lot of back and forth.
How big is the discipline going to be in tomorrow's game? Sometimes the power play is how well you guys did in the last game. Just give up.
Yeah, we want to. That's been a point of emphasis for us, just because we know that every time their power play gets out there, they're doing a good job. They've scored, a couple goals, and they create a lot of momentum for their team. So we want to stay out of the box.
How important was it getting home ice back, and how huge would it be?
That would be huge. I know when you start down a game, it's always an uphill battle, but for us, we were really happy with the way we've rebounded, and we have another game here. And if we could win that, it'd be a huge boost of confidence for us going home.
They need to buy him out and get him out of town. He's not going to help you develop younger players. He's a one-dimensional player who now, he's not a knockdown shooter. He's not a 20-point scorer. He's not that type of player. When you see the lack of how competitive he was in the playoffs, even comparing him to someone like Dwayne Wade, and for him not to think that my role now is not as a starter. He's talking about that's not even in that. I'm not even going to discuss.
Come off the bench. Not even going to discuss coming off the bench.
He's delusional. I could care less about what his resume is. It's about where you are right now. And OKC is not even thinking about championship caliber basketball when you have Carmelo Anthony in your lineup. To me, Carmelo is. I'm not going to call him a loser, but he is not a winner. And to me, I would not want to have young players or trying to pursue a championship. So for me, it's a hard. Carmelo, sure. How much longer can he play in the NBA? To me, that's a very, very short time. Because if you're going for a championship, how does he help you? And if you're trying to develop younger players, how does he help you?
I think the point you just made there is an interesting thought exercise for basketball fans to engage in. Let's say Carmelo Anthony's contract expired this year, that he's a pending free agent. What's the market like for Carmelo Anthony? Do winning teams want him? Do young building teams want him? What is the team that says Carmelo, forget the price point, that just says we are better off with the 2018 version of Carmelo Anthony on our roster?
But that's not the question. The question has to be what team wants him for the role that they want him in that he will agree to. Because in his mind, for whatever reason, he seems to think he is a starter on a contending team. It seems like the pundits out there don't believe that's the case, and I don't think he wants to go anywhere and be a role player. He certainly doesn't want to go anywhere and come off the bench, and he really doesn't want to go anywhere and make under $28 million.
No, he doesn't have to because he's got the contract. That's not the part. But for OKC, they need to be able to buy him out and get him out of town. Let Carmelo worry about those other things. I wouldn't want Carmelo around my organization because I don't believe that he's the type of basketball player that I'm going to be able to either help my younger players get better, that he's got no great playoff experience, he doesn't play defense, and you know what Carmelo is? He's a very talented athlete for a long time, took advantage of his overall talent and didn't sharpen his skills, didn't take care of his body. His body and what it looked like in the offseason, it didn't matter. We saw him this offseason trying to get back in shape, hoodie mellow, but it was too late. Now, Dwayne Wade, he has serious knee problems, but he got the best out of his career. Carmelo Anthony is one of those type of players, one-dimensional, and to me, he is not a winner.
And we would have thought Melo's game would age better than Wade's. because Wade's game early on was based so much on explosion, never really was a great perimeter shooter. Melo, because of his body, you would figure he would be not impervious, but wouldn't deal with a ton of injuries. That's been the case. Because of his shooting touch, you would think he's a guy who can give you 15 minutes off the bench, be a good scoring option off the bench. And that's what he should be.
Yeah, but Dwayne Wade, at the mid part of his career, right before he got LeBron, he hired Michael Jordan's old trainer, and then he got LeBron James to come there, and LeBron's overall regiment and the effect that it had on D. Wade. D. Wade took the initiative to change his body and to keep himself in shape and to go with this type of training. He's been doing it for a long time.
What is so baffling to me is that you talk about the banana boat crew, right? Those four guys, LeBron, Chris Paul, Wade, and Carmelo Anthony. Chris Paul's different category because he's in a different draft class. LeBron, Wade, Melo, same draft class. Why Melo can't look to what Dwayne Wade has done at this stage in his career, taking a bench role on two different teams, being okay being a veteran leader, when D. Wade has been better than Melo every day of their NBA career. He has been a more accomplished professional athlete. He has been better. He has won championships. It'd be one thing if Wade and LeBron were both top of the league all-stars, but he can just look to his buddy Dwayne Wade. That is the path forward for him. I don't know why Carmelo is not open to it. It's disappointing to me that Carmelo is not open to it. But if you're OKC, he doesn't have value for you on the team. His only value is as an expiring contract.
Okay, here we go. This is the moment. I have been waiting for 24 hours for this moment.
What?
You're
Who
on.
wins tonight?
What?
I'm going with the Cavs.
Are you
Yeah,
really?
I'm going with the Cavs
How shocking.
I'm going with the Cavs because I do not believe LeBron James will shoot 40% from the floor again. He missed a lot of wide open threes because they were going up under the pick every single time. Wide open, he would normally knock those down. He's been knocking those down in the playoffs and for the better part of the season. Do I expect JR to give me 20? Do I expect Kyle Korver to give me 19? Although Korver has played really well in this playoff series, any points that JR gives me over 10, I would gladly accept as long as he keeps DeMar DeRozan from going haywire. So anything over 10, JR, I'll take. Just don't let DeMar DeRozan go off. The reason why Kevin Love must remain at the 5 is because Valanciunas. You must pull him away from the basket so they can have that freeway down the lane. If Tristan's in the game and Love is out, Skip, Valanciunas is not following Tristan Thompson because Tristan Thompson is not going beyond the three-point line. So he's going to be in the paint, and then Valanciunas is going to be in the paint. So we got Kevin Love.
So wait a second. Is the King going to guard Valanciunas at the other end? Because he should.
No.
Take him.
No.
Take him.
No.
You're Iron Man.
No. If he was Donovan Mitchell's age, I would have no problem asking LeBron James to give it to me on both ends. Give me a 40-point triple-dub and then go shut down their best player because we've seen him do it. Ask Derrick Rose, could he do it? Derrick Rose MVP season? Ask Derrick Rose how...
You're talking about ancient history now.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. He's 33 now. He's not that 25-year-old young man that was giving folk the business.
Wait, who led the league in minutes played?
LeBron.
Why would he do that?
Because that is what is required of him in order for the Cavaliers to win. You've heard T. Lue said on multiplication, why are you letting LeBron play that many minutes? We're trying to win the game. So he gives us the best opportunity to win. But he's built for this. You play 37 minutes in the regular season, so when you have to bump that up to 42 a night, it's no problem.
You sure he wasn't just stat building in the regular season?
Don't do that,
Trying
Skip.
to catch
Skip, that's so
that
unbecoming.
ghost in Chicago?
Skip, that was so unbecoming to you just then.
I think it was truth-telling. I think
LeBron
that might have been.
LeBron doesn't need to pad his stats, Skip.
Okay, if he's Iron Man, if he's built for this, if he led the league in minutes played in the regular season and led going into Game 1 in Toronto, playoff minutes played, then he should suck it up and defend. He did take Kyle Lowry for a stretch in the fourth.
Nobody has played the best, was asked to do what he does. Now, he's asked to do more than score. He's asked to do more than rebound and assist the ball. So you want him to do all those things. Magic Johnson never did that. Magic Johnson never guarded the best player on the other team. He never did that.
I was there, Game 7, Dallas Mavericks at L.A. Lakers in the Fabulous Forum.
Yeah.
1988, I believe it was. And in the fourth quarter, Magic said, "I'm taking Roy Tarpley." Do you remember Roy Tarpley?
Yeah, I do, Roy.
He had big alcohol issues, but he was a 7-foot monster.
Hold up. Think about what you just said. You said Game 7. That's one game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't guard Roy Tarpley the other 6. So easy. So if it comes down to it, if it's a Game 7 or close, something we need, Bron has no problem.
You just said Magic never did that, and trust me, he did it that day, and he took him out of
But
the game.
you want LeBron to take the best player on the opposing team in Game 2?
Is he the best player on the planet or not?
Yes.
Is he the left face on Mount Rushmore or not? That's what you're trying to tell me.
Well, I remember when Magic Johnson in Game 1 of '91 Final Joy. I mean, you're a little tired. I know you don't remember this, but Magic Johnson had a triple dub. In the next game, who guarded Magic, Skip?
I don't remember.
You don't stop doing that, Skip Bayless.
We're getting off topic.
No, we're not. LeBron James, I got the Cavaliers. LeBron will play better. I believe these role players. Now, I don't know if we're gonna get 87 points, Skip, but I believe they play better. They're gonna gain more confidence. I got the Cavs over the baby dinosaurs. They're in trouble.
Okay, Toronto is my NBA playoff lock of the year tonight. First of all, I always look at Vegas. Vegas made the line like 7.5. LeBron's not a 7.5 point dog to Toronto much. We also know with Cleveland, they have been very good, Chris, in the games they have to win. They've laid some eggs this year. Indiana, they laid a couple of eggs. I think Toronto walks tonight.
Yeah, I'm not as confident as you are in the Raptors winning this, but Cleveland gets complacent. In the midst of series, heck, in the midst of games. When they get up big, they tend to relax. They take their foot off the gas. And they just coast, and then next thing you know, it's a 2-point game, and they got to play hard again. So, yeah, I could see them going out there. We did what we need to do. We got our one. And LeBron, I don't know that he'll allow them to cut his minutes. But if I were Ty Lue, I would think seriously, like, let me keep LeBron around 35 to 38.
See, I agree with you.
He was gassed in Game 1.
Listen, do you know, again, this may be crazy. They told me this morning, the Cavs, LeBron's won 28 of 29 at home against Toronto. Okay, it's official. They're in Toronto's head in Cleveland. I think the agenda was set. You know, it's just like one of those things. That Game 1, Toronto literally went to bed and they're like, has real self-doubt. Now, I think Toronto's going to play tonight like it's the last game in the history of the franchise. I think you're going to get one of their great games of the year. I don't think it'll translate to a series win.
The very reason you outlined at the very end is the reason why I do not believe the Rockets are in trouble, because I do not believe Joe Ingles will shoot 7 or 9 for the 3-point line.
Although you realize he's been shooting like crazy
Well, how about this?
through the playoffs.
Let's still look at it from Houston's perspective. Do you think they're going to shoot 10 or less 3-pointers, make 10 or less 3-pointers? Because they're the number one shooting 3-point team in all of basketball. They made more threes than anyone.
When they took more threes.
They win 81% of their games when they make 10 or more 3-pointers. They were horrible last night shooting the 3-point ball, Skip.
27%, 10 of 37.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's not very good. And Eric Gordon has been struggling these playoffs. They got 5 points from Ariza, 5 points from P.J. Tucker. That won't get it done. Also, James Harden and Chris Paul, they didn't shoot very well from the field. And Chris Paul had a terrible turnover again last night, Skip. You saw that?
Just dribbled it out of bounds. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. That's another big one.
During the regular season, the Rockets swept the Utah Jazz. I believe they feel very...
They actually swept them by double digits.
They did.
Game. Go ahead.
I believe they feel very comfortable going on the road and playing this ball club. Now, it's not going to be... This team got a lot of confidence. But I believe James Harden will have a bounce back game. They let him play, Skip. They let him play football last night because in the regular season, the checks they were giving James Harden, he's going to the free throw line.
They finally called Exum a couple of times.
But he was bodying him.
But he was bodying him up, and
Yes.
he got away with enough that James was starting to feel it a little bit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm not sure anybody else plays him quite that physically.
I do not believe that the Rockets will shoot this poorly from the three-point line and they'll shoot this poorly from the field. Skip, they were 38 or 95 from the floor. That's 40%. That won't get it done. And you're going to have to play a little better defense because Utah is not known as a team to get up and down. You allowed 116 points.
Yep.
But the problem is, Skip, their offense is their defense. The Rockets put so much pressure on you when that barrage of threes start to go, and all of a sudden the 5-point lead is now 15-25, and before you know it, the game's out of hand. Well, Utah got the lead. And now all of a sudden they're shooting three, and they're not going in. But give them credit. They fought their way back into the ball game and they got close.
They did.
But Utah is better than I thought they were. I thought they were an okay team. Rudy Gobert is like 10 feet tall. He clogging up the lane. You can't get any shots.
He bothered a bunch of shots last night
He
because
does.
when the threes don't fall, they have to start driving it. Right. And when you start driving it, he's going to start swatting it or changing it.
And Capella is not the guy like Joel Embiid. Like the Sixers threes weren't falling the other night, but they got 7'2" Joel Embiid who can play with his back against the basket. Clint Capella is a rim runner. He runs to the front of the rim. He'll get lobs. He'll get putbacks. He's not a guy, dump it down to him. They don't run plays for him. Chris Paul or James Harden to drive to the basket, they throw it up, he catches it. He runs to the front of the rim on the fast break, he dunks it. So they don't have a guy that you can say, okay, guys, we're struggling from the outside. Go put your back against the basket. They don't have that. But on Donovan Mitchell's play, Skip, he's what we call a quick leaper. He can go up, and as soon as his feet hit the floor, he's back up again. Everybody doesn't have that kind of explosiveness. They underestimated him. They didn't think he can get right back up that quick. I'm like, when you see it, you're like, how do you do that? I mean, it's like the ball barely touches the rim, his feet barely touches the floor, and he's right back up.
The shot is nonchalant. It's a Euro step shot that he's like, let me just shoot a little floater, and it looks like he's going half speed, and then all of a sudden, boom!
Yes.
Bam! And the Rockets are looking at each other, and they showed a shot on the highlights of press row, and people are just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Took your breath away.
It did.
And I think it took some of Houston's will away.
Yeah. Skip, when you're at home, now look, they had at one point had a 19-point lead. Now, big leads like that at home, they're easier to overcome than on the road because you got your crowd, you make a couple of shots, and all of a sudden the team called timeout, you're right back in the game. So give the Rockets credit. But I'm going to give Utah even more credit because they easily could have succumbed because here comes James Harden. He's getting hot. He's getting to the free throw line. He's starting to make shots. And Utah's like, nah, bro. We had this lead far too long. We're not giving it up.
Last year's Utah, led by Gordon Hayward, would have folded under that onslaught because he's not that guy.
No.
This is that guy. This is a star on the way to being a superstar. And he's going up against a team that I think even you had some doubts about because we know that James and Chris Paul and D'Antoni all have histories in the postseason of failing, falling apart.
They gag a little bit.
Yeah, disappearing when you
a bit.
most need them to rise and shine. And last night after the game was classic D'Antoni.
A Hilton getaway means you get more because you get another day in paradise. Get a sunset on a Sunday. Get more moments to remember. Get more stories to share. There are some things you can only get when you book with us. Get more from your summer getaway with exclusive Hilton offers. Book yours only at Hilton.com.
Listen, I think the Cavs are going to win. I think that LeBron is going to, while getting teammates involved again, while trying to be a distributor, what LeBron is going to do more in game 2 than he did in game 1 is try to get to the basket. Like LeBron took 30 shots, but not a lot of those were at the rim. He settled a lot. He took a bunch of threes, particularly was it the fourth quarter. He shot 5 of them. He It seemed, I think he was somewhat rattled from missing 3 of his first 4 free throws, and it made him less aggressive going to the rim. I also think LeBron knows we can put our foot on their throat right now. We can de facto win. If you win the first 2 on the road, man, that's a hard one to come back from. So I think you're going to see, while still distributing, a more aggressive LeBron James, and I do not think Toronto has an answer for that.
Critical game for Toronto, not just for the fear factor going down 0-2, losing the decisive home court advantage, but what is Toronto's record in Cleveland?
Oh, well, not just in Cleveland. LeBron James at home against the Raptors has won 28 of his last 29. That includes the stint in Miami. So the Raptors on the road against LeBron, 1-28 in the last 14 years.
Now, I don't know if the Raptors are counting the Heat, but I know they're counting when LeBron was in Cleveland. And it's not a place they're very, very comfortable at. They haven't played there of recent. All right, there's no good memories from the coaching staff through their star players believing that they can win in Cleveland. So for me, I believe Toronto comes out. This is the most important game of the season for them, because they don't win this one, their season is over with. So I believe Toronto does play their best basketball game. A couple things to LeBron. Why did LeBron settle? The number one reason why LeBron settled in game number 1 was because LeBron was tired. All right? He was tired. He talked about him being burnt the game before, but you could see. Second reason why he settled on the jump shot is because Toronto played so much of the game with an illegal defense. When LeBron had the ball, they had an extra 2 guys in the paint.
Yeah.
The refs didn't call it the whole game. And the third thing was they let the rookie hand check LeBron with 2 hands when LeBron was facing the basket. So when you watch tonight's game, if LeBron's able to get to the basket, it will be because he does have more energy after 2 days. But watch the other opposing players and see where they're at. If they're in the lane, LeBron's not going to try to go in there. He will settle for more jump shots.
And just real quick to answer I guess I slightly misunderstood your question. The Raptors have not won a game in Cleveland, playoffs or regular season, since early in 2014. So early in the first year LeBron went back to Cleveland. So I think it's 11 straight games they've lost there. But in the playoffs, how about this? The Cavs have won 4 straight games in Toronto in the postseason, and 7 straight games overall against Toronto in the postseason. You made a bunch of really good points, and nobody knows about Royce O'Neal. I'm glad you brought him up like that. He's been good for them. He was good for them against the Thunder in round 1. He's been good for them in this series.
Played about 70 games during the regular season, consistent throughout.
So here, listen, from the commentary after the game last night on television to my own Twitter feed to what we've talked about on this show for an hour, what this is confirming to me is folks, despite the 65 wins, despite Harden's MVP campaign, it doesn't seem like folks really believed in the Rockets the way at least I still do. I am not going to, what I consider, overreact to losing a game to a good Jazz team on a night they went ice cold from 3. I watched them in round 1 play what I consider a much more talented than your typical 8 seed, because Minnesota had Jimmy Butler coming back. And I watched them win that series comfortably in 5 games. I watched them in game 1 of this series dominate Utah in the first 20 minutes of the game to essentially end it right then and there. When you're up 20 plus in the second quarter and you have the firepower the Rockets have, the Jazz were never able to get it within 13 points.
In game number 1, the Jazz were at a tremendous disadvantage, lack of preparation time. They were tired from the series before, so I expected game number 1 to be lopsided.
But we have seen.
But that was true.
Absolutely, and we have seen teams, be it Boston or Cleveland, that had the lack of preparation going up against a more rested opponent, come out and play really well.
Use that momentum.
Momentum. So I really believe the Rockets are a great basketball team. I do not think you can win 65 games in the regular season and not be a great basketball team. And I do not think, if I had seen Harden and Chris Paul as a duo struggle in the postseason, then I would care a lot more about their individual personal struggles in the postseason. Yeah, it stinks for the Rockets that you win 65 games now you don't have home court for the rest of this round, or at least until you steal one in Utah. But I don't think this game is an indicator of what the rest of the series is going to look like.
I agree with you. I think it's too early to start evoking the fact that Chris Paul's never been to a conference finals. It's too early to start looking back at what James Harden didn't do in the conference semis last year against San Antonio. But I'd push back on one thing you said there. You said the Rockets went ice cold from three, and they did. It wasn't like they were ice cold uncontested. They were contested threes. What they're going to have to adjust to doing is saying they're going to give up mid-range jump shots, right? So will we take those? Can we make those consistently? They're going to keep giving up these rolls to the rim. Are we going to be okay with Clint Capella being our leading scorer in this game? What the Jazz want to do is make the Rockets beat them uncomfortably. Make them beat them in a way that they haven't done all season long. Maybe Houston can adjust to that, but I don't think during this series they're going to get a lot of open looks from three. They're going to have a tough time getting those shots against the Jazz.
Even if Ingles doesn't give you 27 or whatever he gave you last night, if they play the same defense in the same game against Houston, do the Jazz have a shot? I mean, I know we're all talking about the fact that Houston will eventually come to their senses, at least you are, and walk away with this. But I don't know. Utah looked pretty good last night.
They have a shot. I'd still look, just losing home court advantage is not enough for me to think that the Rockets are going to take this series.
Tampa Bay jumped all over Boston. This is just the 9th victory in 25 years of Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. Skated in the TD Center. They've never won in Boston. They did so tonight, Bobby. They have a 2-1 lead in this series, 4-1 the final. How do they extend that to 3-1 come Friday?
Well, we saw a pretty good formula for it tonight in this victory. For me, I think you have to come in there and keep the game simple. Lightning speed is a little bit better than Boston's, and also their secondary scoring is a lot stronger than they have in Boston. If you can shut down that Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak line, you have a pretty good chance of really limiting Boston getting on the scoreboard.
Boston does not have an answer in the last 2 games for the Braden Point line. He, along with Andre Palat, who scored the first 2 goals of this game in the first 3 minutes, along with Tyler Johnson, who dominated the face-off circle.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, Johnson, with 62% of the face-offs, did a great job of that. He outdid Patrice Bergeron. But the little things that the Lightning did tonight was more on the defensive side of it, Paul, and that's what really had them winning this game tonight. They had 5 power play opportunities. That one at the very end of the game that was an empty net goal by Stamkos was a power play goal, but their power play hasn't been real strong for them in this series thus far, but their penalty kill has been exceptional, as well as their defensive play in the zone. 5-on-5, they've done a great job, and they have been dominating from the second period all the way through to the end of the game in the last 2 games, and that's what has to continue for game number 4.
Andrei Vasilevsky posting his first career win in Boston for the Vezina Trophy finalists. Tampa Bay takes it 4-1, and now Friday sets the stage in game 4 for Tampa Bay to take a stranglehold in a 3-1 lead against the Bruins.
Once the Cowboys cut Dez, even if Witten hadn't retired, you looked at their skill position guys outside of their backfield, outside of their quarterback and their running back, their wide receivers and tight ends, and you said, like, which team has less explosion or even less reliability than the Dallas Cowboys? Now you remove their most reliable option. They already didn't have the explosion. Like, I was running, since this news broke, I've just been in my head. I'm like, okay, what are teams that right now have a worse pass-catching core than the Cowboys? Like, I feel like the New York Jets maybe, Like and I'm sure I'm leaving a team out. Like who?
San Francisco.
San Francisco is a team that we thought could target it. Who does Washington have coming back? It's a short list now.
Buffalo is big bad.
Buffalo, there we go. But like they can't. You don't want to be in that situation when the Cowboys also, when we talk about the other side of the ball, it's not like, oh yeah, but at least they have these dominant playmakers on defense. They got a great offensive line. They have an amazing running back. But I would think we talked when, I forget even what player it was. Oh, it was about Des Bryant, actually, about how you should be able to beat one-on-one coverage if you have 8 men in the box dedicated to stopping the run game. I know that you don't really ever put 9 men in the box, but if there was ever a time where a team's going to go into games saying, we got one objective to stop the Cowboys offense, stop Ezekiel Elliott. Like, who are we scared of? We scared of Jeff Swaim? What about Terrence Williams? What about my guy? Or Bryce Butler's gone. That's my guy. Cole Beasley. Like the lack of threats for that offense when you are supposed to be taking advantage of this time for Dak Prescott when he's making $800,000, that's jarring to me.
Yeah, there is no defense that has 9 guys in the box. I know, unless you're at the goal line. So before Coach Mangini blows his top and everything, yes, you are right about that. But if you were, because we have this thing going around the office where people are challenging people. I have the Dallas Cowboys and their tight ends and wide receivers challenge everyone in the NFL, the other 31 teams, to a race. To a foot race and a relay race. They would lose that race. So for me, I understand Witten. He has a tremendous amount of value, but at some point, you got to upgrade and you got to put some speed. And there are such a powerful football team in between the tackles. I mean, they run the ball. They very seldom get outside with Ezekiel Elliott. You need some things to be able to help out the quarterback, and that's what speed does in the NFL, Coach.
I agree with you. And he's not that guy. He's not the speed guy. He's not the threat that you like in the middle of the field. But he is a guy that helps Ezekiel Elliott be as effective as he has been because he's such a consistent blocker. He works so well with the offensive tackles. He's
Coach,
really good in the passing game.
I'm not going to speak for you. I'm going to ask you a question. You think he helps calm down some of that chaos, too? You like having a guy like that compared to having emotional guys like they've had with Dez and they have with Zeke. You like having a guy like Witten around. Forget what position. Even we know he's a little beyond his ability, but the other intangibles becomes far more valuable.
Huge, especially with a young running back, a young quarterback, to be able to go in that huddle and say, okay, look, calm down. Just relax. You're fine. Things will work out. Play the way that you're supposed to play. To have that voice in the huddle that brings everybody back to focus, it's hard to find. And he was that. And he could say to Dak, or Dak knew, I can go to him and pick up 3 yards. I can go to him and pick up the first down. And Zeke knew if I ran behind him, he was going to block the guy he was supposed to block. So to lose that component of it, which is, it doesn't show up in a lot of stat sheets, but it's significant.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens beauty consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now, all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
The last 3 times Cleveland's played Toronto and it had a big feel to it. This year, LeBron's taken over the game and they won. And this is something that you can go to therapy about this. This is the reality, is the way, I can't speak for women, this is how most men operate. If you're a comic and you're really good and you travel the country and you sell out theaters, but you go on Johnny Carson in his prime or David Letterman and Jay Leno and you bomb, that will stay with you forever. Even if the next night you get in a plane, go to Santa Monica and crush, go to New York and crush, go to Minneapolis and crush, go to Denver and crush, go to Dallas and crush, go to Atlanta and crush. You bomb on Carson, you bomb on Letterman, you bomb on Leno, that never leaves your head. That is between your ears forever. And it will affect your performance. Not at the small clubs, but it'll affect your brand and your performance when you go back on TV. You've been branded. Clayton Kershaw has the lowest ERA in 100 years. He struggled in the postseason, 7th inning. It affects him. I believe it. Like, LeBron is in their head. He's won 28 of the last 29 games against Toronto and Cleveland. I mean, you might as well call them LeBronto Raptors. And let's just give them a new name. The LeBronto Raptors. This thing, once somebody gets in your head on a big stage, it does not leave. You can go to therapy for years. Like, did you watch what happened in that game one? Toronto had a double-digit lead in the third, a double-digit lead in the fourth. The coach freaked out. Kyle Lowry freaked out. DeMar DeRozan disappeared. Their best wing shooter couldn't shoot. Like, that is mental more than physical. The last 4 minutes of that game, Toronto missed their last 11 shots. I bet you they didn't lose. I bet you they didn't miss 11 shots in a row to end a game all year long. I don't have it, but I bet it. Against the Cleveland team that's not a great defensive team. You were at home. You were well rested. You had more gas in the tank. Like, LeBron is in their head. You bomb on Letterman, Leno, or Carson, that's in your head, and I don't care how good of a road comic you are. You're never going to get past that.
Surrounded by friends and family and the many accolades that are proudly displayed in the Penny household, they gathered in anticipation of celebration. But exactly when that party would begin could not be known. The hats of the teams who courted Rashad most were poised to be worn. Which one would it be? And when? 26 selections in the NFL draft had passed, but during that 26th pick, Rashad received the phone call that delivered the news of his future, and he was overcome with emotion. On the phone, the Seattle Seahawks. Rashad would be a first-round selection, the 27th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft.
I'm going to Seattle. I'm going to Seattle. Let's go! With the 27th pick in the 2018 draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Rashad Penny, running back, San Diego State.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a dream come true. It's something that was really unexpected, and I just thank God and I thank my family for the long ride. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, it's something that we didn't expect, so I mean, it's something that jumped out at us.
Oh man, my emotions, I don't know. I'm just, I'm overly excited. Don't know the right words to choose at this time, but I know I'm just happy. You know, I know I'm happy and blessed. I know that. He's one of the hardest workers I ever known. He, like when I was talking to his high school coach and college coach, he ain't never missed a game or a practice in his whole years from college, high school to college. Never. A practice, a game. So about 7 years straight, he go to work every day. So that's a blessing.
It's paid off.
Yeah, it's paid off, yeah.
He was like, Mom, I did it, you did it, we did it.
The next step for him, celebrate, enjoy this. There's going to be obviously a lot of media requests for him, and then he'll get a playbook in the next 48 hours, and the next thing for him is to get back to work.
They just said, "Are you ready to be a Seahawk?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I just thought in my mind I get to play my brother twice.
Rashad joins his older brother Elijah in the NFC West. Elijah's a running back with the Arizona Cardinals.
With my family and how competitive we are, I can't wait to beat them up 2 times. I think those are the best years ahead of me. I mean, I pray to God that I'm with San Diego State. They put me in a great situation. I mean, being there 4 years and then not playing until my 4th year was amazing. And I can't thank Coach Long, Coach Horton, and then definitely Donnell Pumphrey for the encouragement and motivation that I go through every day. So they put me through so much, and I'm just blessed. I love that city. I'm going to give back so much I can. I think it's just all about being prepared. I mean, I'm going into a big boy league now, so I mean, I got to put my big boy pants on and just go out there and ball. And I just can't wait to go out there and prove. And that's something that I've been doing all my life. And I wasn't getting projected to be in any of my drafts in the first round. To living my dreams out now is just an amazing feeling. So I mean, projections don't mean anything at the end of the day. Accolades don't mean anything to me. I'm just glad to be where I'm at now.
Congratulations to Rashad and his entire support team. We'll be watching as his career begins this season in Seattle. Well, last year at this time, we followed a few guys through their draft days, and here's how they fared in the NFL. Injuries ruined the rookie seasons for two players from San Diego State. After setting the all-time NCAA rushing record, Aztec Donnell Pumphrey was drafted in the 4th round by the Philadelphia Eagles. Pumphrey injured his hamstring before the first preseason game, and although he was healthy by October, Pumphrey remained on the injured reserve list for the eventual Super Bowl champs. Pumphrey's Aztecs teammate, offensive lineman Nico Siragusa, was also a 4th-round pick. He went to the Baltimore Ravens. Early in camp, however, Siragusa was getting work with the starters but suffered multiple torn knee ligaments when a teammate rolled over on his left leg. Siragusa is expected to compete for a job now on the Ravens' O-line again this season. Another offensive lineman, Eric Magnuson, out of Michigan via La Costa Canyon High, signed as a free agent with the 49ers. He saw plenty of action, and he played through torn ligaments in his foot in the 12th game of the year, but was placed on IR after that. He's expected to be ready for kickoff when the preseason begins. The top local success story from last year's draft was USD's Jamal Agnew. He was chosen by the Lions in the 5th round, and as mentioned earlier, he earned first-team All-Pro honors as a punt returner. He led the NFL in punt return yards, average, and touchdowns.
Go! Atta girl. Way to find it, huh? Atta girl. Good job.
So we heard about Padres Coach of the Week through the Padres. The Padres invited a bunch of athletic directors in to talk about how they can engage the community more and engage the high schools more. And in that process, when they were talking about softball night and all the other nights they're holding, they talked about Coach of the Week. And there were, it was a short list of coaches that came to mind, but Scott was on the top of ours.
Good, that's the one. I was nominated by one of our athletic directors, Mr. Winters. I didn't know that he had actually submitted my name, and he submitted my name, and Andy Green called me at work, and we had a real nice conversation. He congratulated me about winning Coach of the Week, and we talked baseball for 15 or 20 minutes. One more. There you go, get out of there. Got a kid, JP, good, here we go. Good, get out of there. Good job. Gompers did not have the most stellar reputation years and years ago. It was where the bad kids went, you know, when the castaway school. Up until about 12 to 15 years ago when Director Riverroll took over, and he had a vision to make this a charter school, to make it a better school for the kids of the neighborhood. And having lived in San Diego my whole life, I am a native, and having been part of the travel ball world for so long, it was very noticeable that there was no rec or travel softball programs here in the Southeast, San Diego, Mid-City, City Heights area. I wanted to bring softball to this area knowing that the talent pool is very deep in this area. I know that these girls can play just as well as anybody else with the right instruction. Atta kid, good job, Nady. So when the opportunity came up for me to coach at Gompers, I jumped at the chance. There you go, good. I wanted to go to a school where they had no softball program, where we could build it from the ground up and build it the right way. Build a reputation as a good, solid softball school.
Things that make Scott a coach that the Gompers family loves about him, the GPA family, is his commitment to our kids. Scott is known to come in on Saturdays, and he'll be here with the girls, grooming the field, bringing pizza, making it a team bonding event. But he'll take what he is and build it so the girls feel like it's their own, and he creates a sense of ownership with everything the team has.
Leah, you are the flex again. You're playing defense, and Liz Beatty's going to hit for you. JP, when Linda gets on, you will be running for Linda. Okay? You are the runner. Has everybody got it?
Yes, sir.
Got any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, let me know what you guys think, all right? Here we go. I run a class 3 days a week during the fall and winter to teach them the basics, to teach them how to throw, how to catch, where to set their feet, and to introduce them to the game of softball.
Scott took a program that was nothing and has built it into an amazing program. It's one of the strongest teams on campus. And he'll take girls who've never held a glove or a softball before and turn them into softball players overnight.
There you go. Atta girl.
He comes to all the events on campus. He's at graduation. He's at the honor roll ceremony. He's just all around the girls' lives and making sure that they know that he's committed to them and they commit themselves to the team as well.
These young ladies come here to this field and we refer to it as church. Nothing can harm them, bother them, or interfere with them when they pass through the gate. It's nothing but softball and the love for softball and the love for them when they show up here. And I think that's why we consistently have 30 to 40 girls here for our class and consistently field a strong JV and varsity team every year. They realize it's more than softball. It's a caring, nurturing environment that we try to provide here.
We're all we got! We're all we got! GPA!
Looking ahead to the Marlins road trip, they will first play 3 in Cincinnati against the Reds. Then they will play 3 in Chicago against the Cubs. But as far as Friday starters go, Wayne Shin getting the second start of the season.
And this is nice to see, to get him back. His first start, 5 1/3, only giving up that 1 run. So, hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of the year. And then you have Sal Romano. Not Ray, Sal. He's making his 7th start, 1-3 with almost a 5 ERA. This is a series, again, you're playing Cincinnati Reds, you got to have.
Right, some opportunity there.
Exactly.
Some opportunity to get back into the win column. Well, that...
Tugs won't give up. Neither will Frontline Gold. For more information, go to frontline.com/gold.
Dwight, these were huge games. I mean, this was like this was Magic Bird of the NFL.
Yeah.
They got much bigger ratings than that. Everybody just says a game's a game's a game, but even the regular season Patriot battles, were they different?
Absolutely. They were. It was never just a game. And I think obviously over the years of losing and them losing to us and then just the back and forth, I think it just became more and more hyped. I always say it all the time. It was almost like they were in our division. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans,
and the Patriots.
And the Patriots, and they were in our division. We played them twice a year, and they were a thorn in our side, and a couple of times we were a thorn in their side.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a great thing that, I will remember forever, man, and regardless if we won or lost.
You are in a very rare position. You are, you may be one of only 1 or 2 people on the earth that can say this. Not many. Okay. You're a great player who played against Peyton Manning in practice and against Tom in games. You heard both those languages.
Yep.
Now, one may have been Italian, one may have been French, but it's a smart language either way.
Absolutely.
So take me to when you were staring down Peyton at practice and Tom in games. Similar, different?
There's a lot more similar than different.
Okay.
I think that seeing Peyton on a day-to-day basis, practice in, practice out, there was a lot of, what you see on TV was the same in practice. It was a lot of changing plays, different things. It wasn't just like a show on game day.
He was challenging himself constantly.
It was challenging the team, but it was also just going through what it was going to be like in the game, and it was always that way. in practice. So when the game came,
the same thing.
It was the same thing. Everybody understood it. We treated practice like the games in Indianapolis. Now, obviously, I didn't practice, in the Patriots, whatever. I don't know what they went throughout practice.
All the times you played Brady, did they in poker they call them tells?
Mm-hmm.
You play in poker and you watch a guy and he itches his face when he's got the ace. Did Brady have some tells? Was there anything with Tom you could? I seen Tom 28 times. I know what he's doing.
It's funny because I remember, towards the end of my career, I ended up having to play outside linebacker and drop back in coverage, which I never wanted to do ever. So there was one particular time we were playing the Patriots, and I had to stand up and cover Gronkowski, okay, in the slot. And it was the absolute most terrifying thing for me, a guy who likes to have his hand down going forward. Now you're trying to tell me now the ball's being hiked and I'm running away from the guy with the ball? So I had to sit there, and I actually had an opportunity, a true opportunity, to really look at Brady and look at what he was doing. And he did something with his hands where I swore up and down I knew what was going to happen. I said, I caught him. I know exactly what pass they're going to throw. And I think that he knew that I was looking, so he actually gave me something that was the wrong thing, and I ended up jumping the wrong route. 40 yards down the field, Gronkowski. I'm chasing him down. I'm pissed off that they had me drop back in coverage. So I think I might have got subbed after the next play. It was disastrous. But he's one of those guys that also does the same type of thing.
We had a really great upbringing. My dad was in the military growing up. My mom was a flight attendant, and my dad was also a pilot for Delta. Really taught us, the value of hard work and putting it in, and discipline, and trying to teach us right from wrong. And then there was also the sports side, and that was us. And when it came to sports, we were very competitive.
Having three brothers playing all different types of sports, growing up in our house, it was pretty hectic afternoons, going from one practice to the next and trying to find rides for all of us. And we'd mess around in the house, and we were always told not to play ball in the house, but we did it anyway. So
it was wonderful. It was a lot of laundry. You got to get those pads clean and put them back in the right spots, and make sure the helmets are cleaned out and the gear was good to go. And then after that, you hop in the car and you drive to the games, and pretty much took up all week and all Saturday.
As the youngest of three boys, Scott looked up to his older brothers Paul and David. But it was their father, David Sr., who played football at the Naval Academy, that made sure his boys never felt pressured to play the sport.
My dad did play football at the Naval Academy, but my dad never pushed us to do anything. He kind of let us create our own path, and we saw all the pictures of him playing football growing up, and kind of decided that's what we wanted to do because we thought it was cool that he was good at it in high school and then got the opportunity to play in college, and we kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. But he never pushed us to do anything, and football is what we do. It's not who we are. So football didn't really create us, but kind of has defined us to this point, but we were never pushed to do anything.
The Quessenberry brothers all ended up playing Division I football. David walked on at San Jose State, while Paul joined the Naval Academy. Scott, the most heralded of the three, earned a full ride to UCLA.
You never stop watching your kids play their sports, and I'm just lucky that my kids are still playing their sports late into their 20s, and my husband and I just enjoy going to all the games, and I think there was 1 or 2 years that we went to 17 football games.
Just watching them play and go out there and dominate was an even cooler experience for me, because at that point, that's like the next step for me, and watching them kind of, blaze their own trail pushed me harder to kind of go somewhere else and, make my own path.
That's part of the reasons why you play, to be able to share those experiences with your family, with your brothers, and that was a really fun time.
For David Lee and Paul, you know, San Jose State played Navy twice, and so my boys went up against each other as left tackle for San Jose State, and Paul was a defensive end at Navy. So they literally lined up against each other. So that was, I wore all San Jose State clothes the first half of the game, and then I put on Navy stuff for the second half of the game. So those are definitely the highlights.
In April of 2013, David Quessenberry was drafted by the Houston Texans in the 6th round, pick 176, fulfilling a lifelong dream of going from a college walk-on to the NFL. However, just 1 year later, the Quessenberry family was blindsided. David was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma.
It's something that you don't expect, that you're not preparing for, or you really don't know how it's gonna affect you.
It was really tough. You know, I was really taken back by it and caught off guard, and to see somebody, you know, as strong as him and in the height of his career competing for a starting job, kind of be struck down by that, it was really tough for me, but my family as well.
Well, as a parent, all you want is a healthy child, and that's the most important thing. It's like the football is secondary. They're not defined as football players. They're defined as young, beautiful, hardworking men, which will follow them through their lives. But for them, football is it. That's what they've worked so hard for, and what they want to be is become successful, big football players.
I would just go out every week and every day really and play hard, because as bad as any day was, I would just be able to draw off that and know that any day can be worse, because he's gone through the darkest of days. And so I just kind of played really hard and was able to honor him with how I played on the field, how I played and performed. We decided to shave our heads because we knew that David Lee was going to lose his hair, so we kind of just wanted to do whatever we could to be able to be there to support him and, you know, go through that fight with him. Although we couldn't be right by his side, we knew, you know, we could be there with him mentally. So I cut my head a couple times when I was shaving it, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
I mean, it was amazing. You know, obviously, like we're all so close, and they love me, and now it's hard for me. And it's always nice to like feel them have my back, but it was also different too, because I was on the other side of that now. You know, I was the guy that was being prayed for.
His family members weren't the only ones who stuck by David during his battle with cancer. The Houston Texans kept a roster spot for him for when the time would come that he was cancer-free.
You know, they had my back like that, and they know that they supported me when I was at my weakest, and that was really cool. That was really special.
In April of 2017, David was cancer-free. He returned to the Texans practice squad, and on Christmas Eve that same year, made his NFL debut.
Well, he got called up to play the Christmas Eve Monday Night Football game at home in Houston, and I've got 35 family members coming over here for Christmas dinner. So we just had an instant party. We all watched the game, and then his girlfriend, Megan, was in Houston, so she went to the game, but it was glorious. They made him the captain of the football team and that game, and it was just the best Christmas present you could ever get.
Kind of like Christmas came early, and it was just, you know, really special for everybody. Just see him run out of the tunnel and then see him on TV. I watched every play, every snap he was in, and, you know, he's going to help that Texans O-line and take the next step, because they got a really solid team, and I think he's going to be a guy that's really going to help them out.
With his family and friends by his side, Scott was selected by the Los Angeles Chargers in the 4th round, pick 155. There are now 2 Quessenberry brothers playing in the NFL, and the third, Paul, will have a choice to make when he finishes serving our country as a Marine.
We got another brother too who's deployed right now, who's coming home, and you know, when he gets out of the Marine Corps, we're gonna see if he can't make it 3 Quessenberries in the NFL.
who knows if that'll ever happen, but if it does, it'll be a really, really fun, surreal experience.
Every child deserves a chance.
Stretched, smooth, scarred, soaked. The sun does not care, but we do. Walgreens beauty consultants are specially trained to know what works for the health of your unique skin. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Now all sun care products are buy one, get one 50% off.
This is your Rays Web Report presented by your local Honda dealers. Neil Solondz with the Big O, Orestes Estrada. The Rays, they had a loss in their last game on Wednesday. They take on the Jays on Friday, starting a homestand once again.
Yeah, listen, a lot of one-run games. See if we can get off the schneid of even that, get back into the hitting ways. A few guys that they've seen before. And J.A. Happ, Aaron Sanchez is an all-star potential. Marco Estrada off to a rough start right now this year. But we have a strong three-pack. I'm really like getting Ryan Yarbrough back on the starting mound. And Jake Faria, followed by, the ace kind of technically of this team and the big brother, Chris Archer.
First meeting for the Rays and the Jays. We'll see you Friday night at 6:30.
What? Are you supposed to come in tomorrow?
Skip, how much trouble are the Rockets in?
Is this kid something?
He's special.
Shannon Sharp, I have told you all year long, I trust these Houston Rockets almost as little as I trust those Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, you've been saying it.
Here we go. I've been telling you for about 3 months, Utah is becoming a force to be reckoned with in the postseason, even now without its quarterback, who you don't have a lot of respect for, Ricky Rubio. But the problem now for the Houston Rockets is they have to go play in what I think is becoming the toughest building to play in the league. Houston is officially in trouble. I am not going to be surprised if Utah wins both games at home. And then we'll see who is mentally tougher, because I think the Utah Jazz are much mentally tougher as an overall basketball team than James Harden, Chris Paul, Mike D'Antoni's basketball team is. Those are the three I just don't trust, and we saw it in full force last night. The signature play of that game, as we just saw, maybe the signature play of the postseason, was that putback slam, and it came with 6:11 left in the game, but it slammed the door on Houston's rally.
That ain't been the play of the playoffs game. You know that.
That old step back, that old step back. But this was a breath taker. This was a what? This is the kid the rookie who he won the slam dunk contest for a reason. He's 6 feet 3 inches tall, and he Euro steps through the lane, and he's just like, la-di-da, I'll just throw up a little floater. And then he says, you know what? I think I'm going to go up through the entire Houston front line. I'm going to go up over Capella and Ariza and PJ Tucker, and I think I'll just posterize all three at once. Whammo! Door shut. What have I always said about the game of NBA basketball? Not college basketball. NBA basketball is a game of superstars. LeBron is a superstar. He has been the beast of the East. When you have LeBron, especially in the Eastern Conference, you're just going to win a whole bunch of games in playoff series. All of a sudden, Utah has come from nowhere because this kid came from the middle of the first round from nowhere from Louisville, lost in Rick Pitino's system, a la Scary Terry Rozier, and he said, watch this NBA. All of a sudden, Utah has a Harden. Utah has a Westbrook. Utah, in Game 6 at home against the Thunder, had a Westbrook. Because what did Westbrook do in the third quarter of that game? He said, watch this, solo will, my warrior will. I'm going to will us home to Oklahoma City for Game 7. Russell Westbrook scored 20 points in the third quarter last Friday night of Game 6 at Utah. And what did Donovan Mitchell do? 22 points. 2 points. He said, no, Russ, not in my house, because this is now my house. And they say the strength of Utah's team is its team. It is, because he's become the leader of a team that lost Gordon Hayward, that lost Joe Johnson, that lost George Hill, obviously, who wound up with your Cavaliers, and lost Rodney Hood, who wound up with your Cavaliers.
And George Johnson.
And I said George Johnson.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But the point is, nobody thought this was even going to be a playoff team because nobody saw this kid coming. And all of a sudden, last night, I'm thinking they're not going to be able to get this home without Rubio. And I know, again, you don't love Rubio, but he is their playmaker.
Right.
He's their constant. He gets them in the right places at the right time. He can settle down their offense when they're under siege and under attack in Houston from that three-point shooting Showtime show that is this group. And what happened? Donovan Mitchell said, I'll play point guard.
Right.
And what happened statistically? He set the Utah Jazz franchise record for rookie assists in a playoff game, beating John Stockton's record. What? He had 11 assists last night as the point guard. And what happened to James Harden? Donovan Mitchell happened to him in the second half because Donovan Mitchell kept saying, let me take him. He and Exum sort of traded off taking him. But they got physical with James Harden now.
Right.
Jay Crowder got a little physical after one whistle with James Harden. They were saying, we're going to play a little football here. We're going to see just how physically tough you are. And Donovan Mitchell forced him into one 3-point air ball because he was all over him, not taking his little whipped cream fakes that everybody else takes. And he didn't get he shot a bunch of free throws. But the point is, Donovan Mitchell said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get us home. And he didn't shoot the ball well at all. He shot 6 for 21. Mm-hmm. But you tell me, is Joe Ingles going to make 7 threes in game 3? Probably not.
Right.
But is Donovan Mitchell going to go home and shoot 6 for 21? I'll bet you he does not.
Wow.
So I'm going to say Houston is in trouble.
What makes you right for this job?
I'm a real team player, and I work really well under pressure.
Adulting is hard. Banking with Centra makes it easier.
That look like? It looked like me bleeding and dry. That's a very complicated badge to sew onto a sash. All right, I'm speaking to deaf ears. Is there a hearing aid badge? Are you guys paying attention to me? Hello? Hello? What are you looking at?
The stain on the wall kind of looks like Jesus.
What?
Introducing new Simply Summer Seed cleansing washes. The new
Jesus. Richard, this is exactly what we need. Thank you, ladies. But still, get your stuff out of here. I need you out, okay? Richard, I want to see you in my office later. Oh, hi, Ingrid.
Leslie, we have a problem.
What the heck happened to your face, Zane? You're a robot!
I'm a what? It is as I feared. They have had their memories stolen.
Now at Speedway, any size fountain or frozen drink up to 44 ounces is just 79 cents. So go fizz or freeze. Go small or bigger or bigger. Still.
What makes you right for this job?
I'm a real team player, and I work really well under pressure.
Adulting is hard. Banking with Centra makes it easier.
Morning, Ingrid.
Morning, Richard.
Is Leslie here yet?
Oh, yeah, he's here.
If I can be of any assistance, I'm just here, walking the aisles, making sure all of our customers are happy. Oh, I see. Okay. Trouble under the hood. Oh, yes, you can use this daily, and it will slowly decrease the number of flakes. Listen, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I can understand being a little nervous, but look, there's a part of you that needs to shed. Why? Because inside that cocoon is a butterfly.
Leslie, Poole, the manager, please come to the front. The doors are broken. No one can get in or out.
Oh, wish me luck.
World of Harry Potter at Universal Orlando Resort.
Scout hundreds of enemy bases. Plan daring tactics. Then boom the beach. They can't win without you. Lead them to victory. Boom Beach. Download free on the App Store and Google Play.
Come on now, let's work. Come on now.
I learned the hard way that it's not very helpful to keep a running tally of all of the housework that you're doing and all the childcare you're taking over, because all it does is breed resentment. And I really got a good tip from Julie Morgenstern, who's the famous time management expert. She said to me that if, for instance, there was a real problem with my husband and me in which he would take long naps.
Introducing new Simply Summer's Eve cleansing washes. The news? They're balanced for your natural pH. Simple ingredients, always free from dyes and parabens. Infused with botanical extracts. New.
L'Oreal Colorista One Day Spray. 10 one-day shades. Be a different you every day. Here's pink in a wink. Play with spray and wash away. Try Colorista Spray from L'Oreal Paris.
Always free from dyes and parabens. Infused with botanical extracts. New. Simply Summer's Eve. Simply gentle.
Robot made some eggs.
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste.
Billy is biting into the world's hottest tortilla chip.
What it would be like.
As he bites into it, he releases capsaicin, the chemical that makes chili peppers spicy. When capsaicin touches his tongue, it excites the pain receptors in his mouth. These receptors are normally triggered in response to heat. This is why we describe the spice of chili peppers as hot. The more capsaicin,
With no monsters left on the field, I summon Dark Magician. Declare direct attack.
Ah, you got me.
Told Joe's the master.
GG.
GG. I gotta bounce, guys.
All right, man.
Feel that tingle of a cold sore coming on? Only Abreva can heal it in as little as 2.5 days when used.
It's time to duel!
Let's battle!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Choose from over 700 classic cards to build your ultimate deck. Unlock and play as your favorite characters. Summon powerful monsters and become a duel master. With infinite combinations, it's anyone's battle to win.
Happy Lady Sisters! Triple Scratch Attack!
Rematch?
Bring it.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, the ultimate real-time PvP battle. Now on mobile. Download free on App Store and Google Play.
We all wonder what it would be like to
What if you could resist signs of aging? Discover new Revitalift Cica Cream from L'Oreal Paris, a facial moisturizer with legendary Centella Asiatica, proven to help repair the skin barrier to resist future signs of aging. New Revitalift What if you could resist signs of aging? Paris. Discover new Revitalift Cica Cream from L'Oreal Paris, a facial moisturizer with legendary Centella Asiatica, proven to help repair the skin barrier to resist future signs of aging. New Revitalift Cica Cream from L'Oreal Paris.
Introducing new.
Okay, that's a one-piece breast, $5. Pot pie, costs you $5. That's a famous bowl, 5 bills. Tenders for a $5, and that's my 2-piece original recipe, also $5. That's 5 real meals, each for $5. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
New Colorista One Day Spray Hair Color. Try it, wear it, wash it out. Color your way.
Provides a snug fit and grind-free sleep. Protect with Dentec.
Find the remote yet?
Nah. Hi!
As long as stuff gets lost in the couch, you can count on Geico saving folks money.
Cut it out!
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste.
What I really want to try to achieve here is to make Mars seem possible and that you can go. You cannot go to Mars for infinite money. If we can get the cost of moving to Mars to be roughly equivalent to a median house price in the US, around $200,000, then I think the probability of establishing a self-sustaining civilization is very high. The cost of moving to Mars ultimately could drop below $100,000. There's obviously the rocket booster, the spaceship, the tanker, and the propellant plant. This basic system, provided we have filling stations along the way, means full access to the entire greater solar system. It would be pretty absurd.
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste.
Billy is biting into the world's hottest tortilla chip. As he bites into it, he releases capsaicin, the chemical that makes chili peppers spicy. When capsaicin touches his tongue, it excites the pain receptors in his mouth. These receptors are normally triggered in response to heat. This is why we describe the spice of chili peppers as hot. The more capsaicin we eat, the more those receptors are excited, the more pain we feel. It's like sticking our hand closer and closer to a fire. And Pocky's Carolina Reaper Madness is one very hot tortilla chip. Sold only one chip at a time, it is coated with not one, but two of the hottest peppers on earth. The Boot Jolokia, or ghost pepper, and the Carolina Reaper. This should be torture. Billy is clearly in pain, but we didn't bully Billy into doing this. He volunteered.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Paul Rosin, a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, has a theory as to why some of us like chili peppers. He calls it benign masochism, or glad to be sad.
Prepare for your demise, Mr. Billingsley. First, a little presentation. Hijacking Earth's...
As long as evil villains reveal their plans, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Well, what I actually really love about fire, it's just reinforced in me. It's just like, fuck it, just cook. The fire, and you just build this relationship out of respect for it and, you know, learning how to work with it. I don't personally think you can harness it. You can just roll with it because every day it's different, and that's cool. That's just made me fall in love with it all over again. What surprises me the most is the flavour that you get from vegetables, from cooking them over fire, and especially leafy greens, and how much heat that they can actually take and how much flavour comes out of these things. It just changes the way you look at greens. One of the reasons why we don't have a menu is because we just get a bunch of stuff in and let it sort of tell us where it's at, because everything changes with the seasons, everything changes with the feed. You've got to adapt and be aware that everything week in, week out, day in, day out will be different, you know.
Colorista One Day Spray Hair Color. Spray it, wear it, wash it out. Color your way and spray.
PS4 Pro, Dynamic 4K, so beautiful, can't look away. Just look at this world, look at this view, look at this thing, looking at you. Check out this cow, check out this truck, check out this place, blow it all up. PS4 Pro, I'm in your house. La 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 la. PlayStation.
Weekends with the family, so often they're a pressure cooker, and especially for moms and dads who end up being chauffeurs, who end up going to a lot of sporting events. We often end up saying to ourselves, TGIM, when Monday rolls around, but it doesn't have to be that way, according to Julie Morgenstern, the famous time management expert, who
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, smart water.
When I first started working in restaurants, everyone smoked. As I got older, I realized that smoking was just becoming an obstacle, preventing me from achieving my goals, and I needed to make a change. Quitting is not easy. It is important to surround yourself with people that can support you through that decision. Nicorette helped take my mind off of smoking so I could be more focused on things that were important throughout my day and just being the best version of myself. Help support others that are trying to quit smoking by sharing your quit stories at stories.quit.com.
One bottle at a time, every time.
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste.
Hand rotated, hand dipped, hand cut. These are the marks of the maker.
Oh, there have been many studies out there which show that fighting about clutter, which seems like a minor thing, is a very big source of tension among parents. And one very good thing that I learned is when you're considering throwing something out or not, ask yourself, is this useful for the life I'm leading right now or the imaginary life that I'm leading in the future? My panini maker. I'm never going to have that panini party that I envision I'm going to have in the future. I should really give it to someone who will make paninis. That ball gown that you have around that you wore once. Are you ever going to wear it again? I'm not going to a ball in the future. I wish I was. I'm not. So that's very useful. Also, another expert told me that if you want to declutter your children's rooms, you have leverage twice a year during the December holidays and around their birthdays. That's when they're more likely to lessen their clutches on some of their toys. And the most helpful thing that I learned is when it comes to your spouse, if one of you is a clutter bug and one isn't, focus on your loved one and not the stuff.
We still hand rotate every barrel. We still hand dip every bottle. We still hand cut every label and use red winter wheat from the same single family farm. Because just like our distinctive taste, these are the marks of the maker.
Huh? There's a robot making an omelet. Yeah, I'll be up here in about 10 minutes. Be up there in about 10 minutes.
Come on now, let's work. Come on now. Come on now, let's work. Come on now. Come on now, let's work. Check it out. Come on now, let's work. No, 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 no.
Hi, my name is Oli.
Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste. Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one-ups them, adding electrolytes for that clean, crisp taste. No offense, clouds. You'll always be our inspiration. Smart water, vapor distilled for purity, electrolytes for taste.
By the year 3100, Earth's skyrocketing population will need a lot of energy for our virtual reality consoles, jetpacks, and hyperloops. Way back in 1960, physicist Freeman Dyson had an idea. He said our power could come from a shell of solar collectors positioned around a star to harness and convert its light into usable energy. It's known as a Dyson sphere. One type of Dyson sphere is called a Dyson swarm. Here's how a Dyson swarm might work. Tens of thousands of solar panels orbiting a star convert its light into energy. Radiators emit excess heat off the back of the array. Dyson believed searching for heat signatures around distant stars could help us locate alien civilizations, assuming of course that they use this technology. As photons hit the solar collectors, they nudge them backward little by little. Thrusters on the panels will occasionally fire to keep the arrays in position, and to avoid colliding with other members of the swarm. Lasers, or microwave beams, will send power where it's most needed, to robotic mining operations, space stations, or human settlements. Now that's some serious star power.
Smart water is pure. Smart water is purity inspired by the clouds. And not to throw shade at those clouds, Smart water one.
Quick question. Do you want the same tools and seamless experience across web and tablet? Yes? Great. Then you're ready for Power E-Trade, the platform price and service that gives you the edge you need. Sweet. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
Dentec knows teeth grinding can feel like 250 pounds of pressure. Stop the painful grind with Dentec. Exclusive forming tray provides a snug fit and grind-free sleep. Protect with Dentec.
What if you discovered a new friend every day and your phone replaced your car? Hi, we're Lyft. Lyft is the idea that people can be brought together through transportation. Today, 80% of seats on the road are empty. Yet getting an affordable, convenient ride when you need one isn't easy. Lyft is your friend with a car. With the Lyft smartphone app, instantly connect to friendly, reliable drivers from your community. A few taps, and you're off. We run comprehensive background checks, conduct vehicle inspections, and provide $1 million liability insurance for ultimate peace of mind. Save money. Get to where you